Over the last several years, I've shared a lot with you guys in regard to my own struggles with nicotine, THC, energy drink, and adult media content addictions, while at the same time hopefully providing you with tools, tips, tricks, and mindset hacks to help you along your journey with substance use, sobriety, and recovery. But despite the fact that I've put out over 600 videos now on YouTube and thousands of TikToks helping people quit, there is one very important thing that I have completely forgotten to discuss on this channel, and that has to do with when you reach your breaking point or when you have that breakdown early on in the quitting process. So this is early on once you quit a drug, this breakdown, this breaking point often occurs. And that's exactly what I want to discuss in today's video with you guys. Now, if you're new to the channel and you wind up enjoying the video, be sure to check out the pinned comment or the video description to learn more about our free and paid addiction mindset recovery coaching programs and resources. In a majority of cases, when people quit smoking weed, quit drinking alcohol, quit vaping nicotine, there's gonna come a breaking point. And I'm not talking about a rock bottom or a breaking point in addiction. I'm talking about a breaking point once you start to quit the drug. So this maybe is on day 3, or maybe this is at 2 weeks or a month or day 60. And this is the point in time where mentally, physically, or a combination of both mentally and physically, you completely feel like you're about to break down. This is where you feel like no matter what, there is no possible way that you're going to go another day sober, that you're going to go another day without using the drug, smoking weed, drinking alcohol. And it's often at this breaking point when everything seems to be stacked against us. It's after a fight with your significant other. It's after you just lost your job at work. It's after you were in a car accident and your vehicle got damaged. There's usually a lot of factors outside of the withdrawal process that you're going through that lead to this breaking point. And it's like, okay, I'm about to break. I'm about to use the drug. Now, it's in this moment where if you can remain sober, if you can stay away from the drug, where the breakthrough often happens. For a lot of people, when they quit using drugs, in many cases at first, they're motivated. So the first few days are easy. Then that motivation fades away and it gets a little harder. Now they're dealing with withdrawals, they're dealing with cravings, they got all these life stressors going on. It's like day 13, 14, 15, and they're like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't take it anymore. And you have a breakdown, either physically or psychologically. It's pushing through that moment. It's pushing through that scenario. It's pushing through that instance where change is actually going to happen. And I'll tell you, whether it's waking up 24 hours from that moment sober, 48 hours or 72 hours from that moment sober, that's oftentimes where the person is finally able to take a breath of fresh air and say, oh my God, I can actually do this. It's in that moment when you're breaking down or when you've hit your breaking point, when you push through it, that's where we really start to solidify a person's sobriety and recovery process. And I see this time and time again with clients that we work with. I saw this and I experienced this myself on more than one occasion, on more than one substance, okay? Here's the other caveat to this. On my channel, I talk a lot about setting goals. I talk a lot about, being ambitious and staying busy and taking cold showers and journaling and meditation and therapy and coaching and all these things. And I say to put all these things in place when you start quitting a drug to make the process go smoother. I think, unfortunately, that misguides some people because the impression becomes, okay, if I do all of these things, then I'm not going to have that breakdown. I'm not going to feel like I'm hitting that breaking point, right? Things are just going to go smooth. And I don't know, 95% of the time, that's simply not the case. You can't outwork addiction. You can't out-exercise addiction. You can't out-pray. You can't out-meditate. You can't take enough cold showers in the world to outdo or outrun or outwork or outperform addiction. And what I mean by this is, here we are, day 5 of quitting. You did your workout, you meditated, you took 2 cold showers, you had a call with an addiction recovery coach like myself or a therapist. You did everything in your power to stay busy, and you did everything correct to a T. But now it's 8 p.m., 10 p.m. at night, you're sitting at home alone with your thoughts, and you are about to break down. For whatever reason, you don't think you can go another second sober, despite having tried to outrun facing this moment for the last day, several days, maybe even in some cases for people for months. This is where you just have to let that breakdown occur. This is where you just have to go through that breaking point, because I'll tell you, it's not you that's going to break in most cases. It's the breaking of the addiction. It's the death of the addiction. And this is an extremely powerful moment for people when they go through it 24 to 72 hours after the fact. Because this is when you can say, wow, I really didn't think I was going to pull through. And somehow I did. Somehow I found the strength, I found the determination, I found the effort to get through that moment. And maybe it's not one time, maybe this happens on 2 or 3 different scenarios. But it's when all odds are stacked against you, when you're feeling terrible, when the cravings are at their peak, when there's nothing left to do, there's no more work, there's no more meditation, there's no more journaling. It's going through that emotion, that's when you really start to beat this thing. And you'll know it. When it happens, when you go through it, you'll know it. But if you've been struggling to quit and you find yourself continuously relapsing at that moment, well, then the cycle of addiction just continues and continues and continues. And we have to go through this. It's not something that in 95% of cases, people will be able to avoid. And I guess I'll end this video with just saying, understand, you're doing everything you should be doing. You're doing everything correctly, assuming you're not, picking up the drug. You're talking to people, you have community, you have support, you're doing the health stuff, you're doing the meditation, you're taking great care of yourself. This moment is probably inevitable, okay? And that's a good thing, because this is a key turning point in a majority of people's addiction recovery processes. So I just wanted to share this with you guys, because I certainly went through this with weed, nicotine. I went through it with alcohol, despite the fact that I didn't have a major alcohol addiction. I'll actually link that video to this video, because it kind of gives a good real life example of this scenario for you guys. And you can check it out at the end of this one. Hopefully this gives some people some encouragement and some clarity when it comes to what they're feeling throughout their sobriety and recovery process. If you enjoyed this, be sure to check out that video description or the pinned comment to learn more about our one-on-one addiction recovery coaching programs, or to download some of our free PDF content that we have available. I'll see you guys in the pinned comment or the video description.